In our last lesson, when we were talking about verb complements, we talked about 5 different groups. But I promised that we are going to talk about the 5th group in another lesson. The 3 verbs that are very commonly used in this group are, let me see, are try, remember, and stop. So after these 3 verbs, we can use an ing form or to plus infinitive, but with very different meanings. For example, after try, if we use the ing form of the verb, I mean verb plus ing, or if we use to plus infinitive, we will have 2 very different meanings. What does it mean? Let's see in two examples. For example, imagine that you had a headache and you had a bad headache. So you say, I tried getting a nap. I tried getting a nap, but it didn't work. I tried getting a nap, but it didn't work. So here it means you tested a way to get rid of the headache. So try here has got the meaning of testing something to see if it works or not. So here try has got the meaning of testing like a particular way to see if it works or not. However, if we use to infinitive after try, like you say, I tried to learn German, but I couldn't. But I couldn't. So in this example, you are using try to mean make an effort, to make an effort. So I tried to learn German here means I made an effort. So you're talking about doing something difficult, like made an effort. Now, moving on to the second verb in this group number 5, like I said. So I remind you that we talked about the first 4 groups in the previous lesson about verb complements. Today I'm talking about the 5th group, as I promised in that lesson. So moving on to remember. Remember is quite interesting. So there are 2 different ways this is explained depending on the course book or the grammar book you study. So I'm going to talk about both. Now, first one is, like I said, again, we can use, let's put it here to have more room to work on it. So let's say remember. All right. So we can again use remember plus the ing form of the verb, like remember doing something, and we can also use remember plus to infinitive. All right. So how does it work? Let's see. For example, when I say I playing soccer with my cousins whenever we got together. We got together. True story, by the way. So here, you see, I remember playing soccer. As you might have probably guessed, here I'm talking about like my memories of the past. Memories are in the past. So yeah, I'm talking about my memories. But when I say, imagine that you are leaving home. Imagine that you are leaving home, and this is what you tell your partner. You tell her or him, remember to lock the door. Remember to lock the door. So remember here means, yeah, don't forget. Don't forget. So this is the first way to decide whether we need to use the ing form of the verb or to infinitive. Now, this was the first way to help us decide whether we needed to use the ing form of the verb or to infinitive. In some other course books, they explain this in a rather different way, which is quite interesting. So this was the first way to decide whether we needed to use the ing form of the verb or to infinitive. However, in some other course books and grammar books, this is explained in a different way. Like, see, you remember playing. What does it mean? It's like you remember something that you remember. Oh, I forgot the R. You remember something that had happened before. So it means it happened first, then you remembered it. You remember something that happened before. But remember not to forget. So this is remember. First you remember, then you do it, then you lock the door. You see? So when you remember something that happened before, you use the ing form of the verb. However, when you remember and then you do something, you use to. So you can decide whichever is easier for you. You can because either works, honestly. I mean, I like the second one because of the way it talks about, first this happened, then the other one, and the other way around. But you can choose, you can use either. And the last verb in this group. So we talked about, let me see, we talked about try, we talked about remember, and the last verb in this group is stop. So like the other two, we have got two options. We can use the ing form of the verb after stop, and we can also use to infinitive. Now, examples. Imagine that you were a smoker and then you decided to quit. So you say, I stopped. I stopped smoking. I stopped smoking last year. So as I said earlier, stopped smoking here talks about doing it like kind of forever. You don't smoke anymore, so you kind of quit. So when it means quit doing something, we use the ing form of the verb. The ing form of the verb after stop. Now, in a different situation, or like imagine that you were in the park and you were walking with your friend. So then for some reason you stop. Now, why did you stop? Say, I stopped to have some water. I stopped to have some water. So here you're talking about the reason you stopped. What's the reason you stopped? I stopped to have some water. So we call this the infinitive of purpose, like the reason we do something. So this is also called the infinitive of purpose, which is the reason we do something. So I stopped. Why? To have some water. Yeah. So that's it. So let me zoom out to have all three together. And let's close this. So as you can see, these three verbs can be quite tricky because after each we can use both the ing form of the verb and to infinitive. However, their meanings can be completely different. So we decide based on the situation, based on what we are trying to communicate, what meaning we are trying to convey. They're very different from the verbs in the fourth group we talked about in the previous lesson on verb complements. Verbs like, hate, love, prefer, continue, after which we could use both with very, very little difference in meaning, and most of the time with almost no difference in meaning. This group is very, very different. Group 5 is very, very different from group 4 because as you saw, using the ing form of the verb or to infinitive depends on the meaning. Please read the description for more examples. I also leave some exercises for you to try these verbs and see how they work in real examples. So that's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos and have a very good time. Ashkani out.